You guys already know that North Naperville Autos is the #1 dealer of used cars in the Chicagoland area, but they are now offering shipping on all of their online purchases. That's right, if you buy a car at North Naperville Autos online, it'll be shipped directly to your front door. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today on this rainy day, I am driving a 2009 Acura TL. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6, and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Acura TL for a couple of reasons. First of all, I haven't actually done a TL here on the channel. I did an RL, a 2011 RL, and I'll leave that video at the end of this one, but not specifically a TL. The second reason is the fact that, to me personally, this is kind of peak Acura, and I'll explain why a little bit later on. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackbradel.com, where you can check out stickers like this retro sticker pack I have available for just $10 with free shipping, or a big friggin' bottle sticker, again $4 with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6 under the hood, making 280 horsepower, which is not bad. 280 out of a V6 is great. However, if you got the all-wheel drive version, the all-wheel drive Acura TL from this generation actually got a bigger engine, the 3.7 liter, which made 305 horsepower. So because this is the front-wheel drive version, this just gets the 3.5 with the 280 horsepower. It's a J-Series engine, which Honda has used J-Series for very, very long times. Honda Odysseys have a version of the J-Series. Honda Accords have a different flavor of the J-Series, things like that. So finding parts for them is not that hard. Like I said, paired to a 5-speed automatic transmission. This is from the era where Honda has had a little bit of issues with their automatic transmissions, so that might be something to be wary of. Do your own little research on that. And if you see a Craigslist post with bad transmission, just know it's not that odd. Last but not least, as I mentioned before, this is the front wheel drive version. This is more of a base model. It does have the tech package, but a more base model of the TL, because the all-wheel drive came with a hefty price increase back in the day. With all that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of gauges. On the left is the coolant temperature and tachometer, and on the right, I have my speedometer and fuel. I also do get a little digital readout in the center, and I can swipe through a couple of things here. Nothing too crazy. It is all one color, which normally for gauge clusters, I'd like to see a couple of colors. Makes it feel a little bit nicer, but I'm not complaining for sure. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have volume, channel, mode, and phone options. And on the right, I have my cruise control and information buttons for that center screen in the gauge cluster we just talked about. I do also have paddle shifters around the back, and the overall steering wheel looks and feels decent. However, I do think it's a little cluttered. We'll talk a lot more about that towards the end of the video. Off to the left, I do have my VSA off and 2 dead switches. Like I said, this is a more base model vehicle. Then moving on to the door, we have 2 different memory seat options. Again, part of that tech package I mentioned earlier. I have my power mirror adjustments and my power windows and locks down below. Moving into the center, we do have a fairly large infotainment screen. Dated by modern standards, sure, but back in the day, this was a very big deal and very crisp and modern, especially for 2009. It does talk to you quite a bit, which can be slightly annoying. However, I think it's kind of unique. Acura TL, I'm kind of tired, but I kind of want to stay out with my friends. What should I do?
Go home 1.
You're right, I should go home. Thanks, Acura TL. I think it's funny that it talks to you so much. But I'll show some different things you can do in the center display. Like I said, dated by modern standards, but for 2009, this was a big deal and part of the tech package, which is really, truly fantastic. And I'm just happy that it still functions, 13 years later. The TL also does have a backup camera. The lines do not adjust when you turn the steering wheel, but I have to say for 2009, not bad quality. Down below that, I have 2 climate control vents and a hazard switch. Then I have a CD player and my radio dials. So much stuff going on here because the climate controls and the radio are sort of mashed together, where the climate controls are on the outside and the radio is in the center. I get this big radio dial down below for like enter and changing settings and things like that. I do have dual zone climate, which is nice, fan speed, where to send it, brightness, all of those fantastic things. Then I have a little cubby that is specifically not an ashtray. And the shifter itself, this is very typical Acura for the 2000s, which I like the feeling of it. Shifting it into gear, it has this nice satisfying clunk, which is great. And then I have my heated seat options. Then I do get this sort of James Bond hidden cigarette lighter off to the right. I think that's kind of a really cool feature. But in the center, I do get cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2009 Acura TL. And unfortunately, it does not pass the big friggin' bottle test. Its older brother, the RL, did. However, the TL doesn't. And this is the other Acuras in which I've tested and how it stacks up. Something interesting about the cup holders, though, is that the center armrest actually has this little cutout in case you have a bottle in the rear cup holder. You can actually move it out of the way. Kind of funny. Very weird. But we do get a center console, like I said, from that little lid. And then we'll talk about the seats. The seats are nice and comfortable. They are this very late 2000s tan. Like I said, they are heated and they are memory, part of the technology package, and I really pleasantly enjoy them. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2009 Acura TL. And a couple of things to note. First of all, the back seat space back here, as you're seeing, is fantastic. My knees are not hitting the seat in front of me. My head has plenty of room. I'm 5'11" and sitting comfortably. I also have 2 climate control vents and this little openable cup holder in the center console, which folds down. Of course, everything back here is also finished in that definitely 2000s tan. This bright tan is a very, very 2000s color, which I love. I do really like. Other than that, not too many features, but this is the bigger size of Honda sedans. This feels a lot like an Accord, and so you get that extra space. Let's take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Acura TL. I apologize, I'm right by like this little swampy thing, and the animals are so loud. It sounds like I'm in the Rainforest Cafe. Anyway, hit the trunk button here, and the trunk does pop up a little bit, which is a very nice feature. You don't have to do all of the work, but once you are back here, plenty of space. This is a nice large sedan trunk, which is just fantastic. Of course, these are the factory floor mats. Nothing really too interesting to note, and it doesn't appear that the back seats can be folded down, which is kind of interesting. But other than that, a pretty normal trunk in the TL. Now we gotta talk about the looks of the 2009 Acura TL and a couple of things to note. First of all, I don't think it looks very good, especially the front end. The front end is a little, I don't even know a word for it. It looks like it's wearing medieval armor almost up at the front, which is very strange. I don't know. I don't think it's a particular looker. However, just for a little bit of insight, this car was designed by Dave Merrick, who also designed the Honda Element, of which I recently reviewed, the first gen Honda Ridgeline, and the 1994 Honda Accord. So he has some interesting style tastes. Some I'm a fan of, and some I'm not. But with all that being said, let's get to my final thoughts here on the Acura TL. Well, let's start off with the bad. Transmission, probably gonna have issues. Unfortunately, that was kind of Acura and Honda's Achilles heel for the 2000s, was their transmissions. Not the best. I don't like the interior. It's all way too cluttered for my taste. The gauges, there's so much happening. The steering wheel, way too many buttons. The climate controls mixed in with the radio controls, there's just so much going on that it's hard to wrap my brain around. I guess it's better than having everything run through the screen, but that really seems like the lesser of two evils. But besides that, I like this car. I think that this is a really good used car, and I'll say this not only for Acura, but for Lexus, for Infiniti, upscale Mazdas, upscale Subarus. I think this is sort of a sweet spot for used vehicles in 2022. Buying a used Japanese luxury vehicle, because they're going to be pretty reliable. I know I talked about the transmission, but Besides that, they're going to be pretty reliable. They're going to be well built, and they're going to have great features. Buying that upscale version, something that's older, you get great, fantastic options. This car can be had for under $10,000, and I have heated seats. I have memory seats. I get my nice little infotainment system. I get a sunroof. I get luxury features. And my final talking point is the fact that this is, to me, sort of the tipping point for Acura. At least in my book, I haven't really cared much about what Acura has done in the last 10 years. Okay, the new NSX is cool, but the TLX never really sparked my interest. I did an RDX A-Spec, that was cool, but the amount of times I've thought about that car since I reviewed it, I could count on one hand with 3 fingers cut off. I don't really think about modern Acura all that much. However, back in the day, I feel like they really had some great vehicles, especially the 3rd generation of the TL. This is a 4th generation, but the 3rd gen, you could get the Type S, which I think is really, really cool car that I would love to review. I like the look of that car a lot better. A lot more people, I feel like, around me growing up had this generation of Acuras, and I haven't seen a whole lot since. Sure, maybe you could blame the economy, maybe you can blame brand loyalties changing, whatever it may be, but I don't know. To me, this was kind of the peak Acura. They were just coming off the RSX. They had just discontinued it. They had the Integra of the 90s. Of course, how can you forget the NSX of the 90s? And I'd say here in 2009, they were still kind of coasting off that 90s chic, something that I don't think modern Acura does. But there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Acura is offering a manual transmission again in their new Integra. I'm hoping that that starts to put a little bit more light back on Acura. But to me, as of the making of this video, May 18th, 2022, this was peak Acura for me. I hope it someday returns. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me take out their Acura TL. This thing is fantastic. They are fantastic. They offer nationwide shipping, financing, and they are Carfax certified, which is just the best. If you're looking for a used vehicle, North Naperville Autos should be your first stop. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.